Okay, so today is Easter and we're gonna get started making the dough for our rolls, oh my gosh, that we're gonna have with dinner, or lunch. Actually, we're eating at 1. So we need 1.5 cups of milk, but we want to warm it up a little bit. We want it to be about 110, and that's because the yeast will do better at that temperature. So I'm going to stick this in the microwave for, I don't know, 20 or 30 seconds, and then I'm going to check it. All right, this is probably not warm enough yet, but let's give it a little check. Oh no, it's definitely not warm enough. All right, I'm going to stick this back in the microwave. And since I'm going to be working with flour, I got an apron because I don't want to end up with flour all over my clothes. You want to make sure that you don't get your milk too warm, because then you'll have to let it cool back down. Let's see what we've got now. Okay, that is just about right. So we're going to put our 1.5 cups of warm milk in our mixer bowl. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of sugar. And we're going to just mix that up a little bit. And then to that, we're going to sprinkle our yeast on top of that. We need a tablespoon of yeast. We're going to let that sit for just a minute, and I'm going to take all this back. So we're going to let that sit for a minute. I'll take this off so I can work with it better. We're going to let that sit for about a minute. Then we're going to whisk it all together, and then we're going to let it sit another 5 minutes, and our milk mixture will start to look really foamy from the yeast activating, and that's how we know that your yeast is working. So we are going to need 4 tablespoons of melted butter, which is half a stick. So I'm just going to put that in my Pyrex dish that I used to warm up my milk, and I'll melt that butter in there. So I just cut that in 2 pieces so that it'll melt a little easier. And then I'm just going to leave the rest of this out so we can use it with dinner today. That way we'll have some butter that's soft enough to spread on our rolls if people want that. All right, so it's been 1 minute, so I'm just going to whisk all this together. Now we're just going to let this sit another 5 minutes. Our full menu for today, we're having a roasted turkey. I'm making southern smothered potatoes. I found it on Pinterest. They look amazing. So we're going to have those. We're going to have that pea salad that we started yesterday. We're going to finish that once we've got our bread rising. We're going to have the honey garlic butter roasted carrots. I can't remember if that's the exact name, but we made those together a few weeks ago. And then we're going to have these rolls. And then we've got our strawberry and chocolate egg cupcakes that we made yesterday. So you guys know how I'm always talking about the morning sun coming through my kitchen window and blinding me when I'm trying to work early in the morning. So I just ordered me, it's like a temporary screen, so it's got suction cup holders that I can stick up in that middle section if I'm trying to work in the morning, and so that I won't be blinded. I was trying to do dishes earlier and I could barely see the sink, let alone the dishes I was washing. So hopefully that will be helpful. All right, so we've got another minute or 2, and our yeast is starting to look a little bubbly, which is what we want. So the total amount of sugar that we need is 1/3 of a cup. So I've got my measuring cup and I'm just going to take out the tablespoon that we added to our yeast mixture. So I can put the rest of this in and not put too much. So I've got that ready to go. All right. So our yeast is nice and foamy and bubbly looking. So now we want to add the rest of our sugar. We're going to add our melted butter and we're going to add our salt, which we need 1 1/4 teaspoons. Okay, so in our bowl now we've got our milk and sugar, yeast, butter, and salt, and we just are going to stir this together. And then we're going to start adding our flour. So we need a total of 4 cups of flour, but we're just going to add it a 1/2 cup at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and get a whole cup, but I'm going to just pour half of it in. So I just want to sprinkle about half of that cup in there. And then I'm going to stir this in with my whisk. And then we're just going to keep doing it like this until it gets kind of hard to stir with my whisk, and then we're going to put it back in with our dough hook and we're going to let it finish that way. So this is 1.5 cups now. And it's starting to get a little thicker, obviously. I think I can probably get at least another 1/2 cup in there before I switch to the mixer. Oops. Maybe I can get this other cup in by hand, or the rest of that cup in by hand. Oh goodness, yeah, it is getting pretty stiff now, so I'm going to go ahead and add my last cup of flour, but I'm going to put it on my KitchenAid and put the dough hook in and let it finish mixing like that. So I'm going to get all this goodness out of my hook, or out of my whisk. We don't want to lose any of that yumminess. Maybe it's sticking to my fingers. All right, we'll add our last cup of flour. Oh, flour in my eyeballs. And I don't know about you guys where you are. I think it's bad kind of all over the United States, but allergies are terrible here. If you have any sort of allergies, I know that you are suffering just like I am. I take an allergy pill every day, just an over-the-counter one. And I also this morning put some allergy drops in my eyes because they're so itchy. And it's just not really helping. We had our windows open yesterday and last night because it was so nice here. They're closed now because it was a little cool this morning, but even though it wasn't super windy, I worked in the garden yesterday, so I'm still outside and now I'm struggling. All right, so we're going to, we're just going to let that mix enough to mix the rest of our flour in. And then We're going to turn that up a little bit and we're going to let it knead for about 2 or 3 minutes until it's a nice soft dough that's pulling away from the sides of the bowl and from the dough hook. So it says our dough should feel sticky and tacky, but it should not stick to our dry fingers. All right, I'm going to turn this up. And we're just going to let this keep going in our KitchenAid until the dough is ready. So I'm going to put some oil in a bowl, just a little bit. All right, so our dough is looking good. I'm just going to oh yeah, that's perfect. All right, what am I doing here? There we go. So you can see our dough is nice and soft, but it's not sticking to my fingers. I love the smell of yeast dough. Okay, so now we're going to put it in our bowl, and we're just gonna kind of roll it around and just make sure that it's all oiled, because what we're trying to do is prevent the top from drying out and prevent it from sticking to the bowl. And now we're going to go ahead and cover this with plastic wrap. And then, whoops, we're just going to let it rise until it's double. And that's going to take about 2 hours. So I'm just going to set this to the side. I'm going to put my flour and sugar away. Put my mixer back, get all my dust and stuff off of it, my flour dust. So I'm done with this, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back, and then we'll start working on some of our next items. Actually, that's not true. I'm not done with this, because I'm going to use this to cut up my potatoes, but I'm not going to use it right this second. So we're gonna finish up most of our pea salad. Ooh, that onion I put in there last night is so very strong. Holy goodness. All right. Need my cutting board. I don't need my cutting board yet. I'm like all out of sync today. Oh, okay. So other than the cheese, what we're going to add to this is just some mayonnaise, some Miracle Whip, and you can just do mayonnaise or just Miracle Whip if that's your preference. I usually like to do kind of half and half because I like the taste of mayonnaise, but I like the extra little bit of sweetness that you get from the, oh goodness, that you get from the Miracle Whip. Okay, so we're just gonna, and I just bought bacon bits at the store. I had some cooked bacon, but we ate it. We either ate it all or we used some of it for those breakfast sandwiches. So I just poured some in until I like the way it looked. I don't usually measure. So I was looking in my fridge before I opened these new ones to see what I've got, and I found both. So I'm glad I didn't open those yet. All right, so this is the mayo. Just gonna put some in there. And like I said, I don't measure, so I just put some in and stir it up and see what it looks like. So we just want this to be a nice creamy pea salad, which I think that might be just about the perfect amount that I put in. You just want to make sure that there's no places where your peas are just all by themselves without any of the creamy mixture on there. Ooh, oh, this smells so good. I love this salad. Okay, so I think that is just about perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these back, whoops, I'm gonna put these open ones back in the fridge, and I'm gonna set my other ones to the side, and I'll take them downstairs and put them in my storage. So this doesn't have our cheese in it yet, but I'm going to take a little taste just to make sure. I love this salad. Okay, so I need to shred up some cheese, and I'll add it. It's only not quite 9 o'clock right now, so I'll add the cheese kind of at the last minute. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and peel and cut our carrots for our roasted carrots. And I'm going to use most of this bag of carrots, not quite all of them. There's going to be about, I think, 12 people here, but that's counting even all the kids. And some of the kids may or may not eat this. And honestly, if they don't want to eat, I don't care. It's Easter. If they just want to eat chocolate bunnies all day, I'm fine with that. Their parents may not be, but I am. Oops. So I'm going to get these all peeled. I need to start a new bag for my stock bag in my freezer, because that one I filled one up yesterday when I was making dinner. So I've got to put that one in my downstairs freezer and then start a new one for up here so that I can add stuff as I use it. And my skin is super itchy from all these allergies. Like, I just want to scratch my skin raw. So we'll have all of our kids here. Well, I shouldn't say that. We'll have, of the kids that live in town, we'll have all but 2. Our youngest son and his girlfriend are going out of town. And then one of her family that's not normally this close, and they're going to visit them. I don't remember the whole story. And then our oldest daughter drove to spend the weekend with our middle daughter. So I sent the other 2 grandkids, I sent those Easter baskets with her. And yesterday was the older of the 2 kids down there. Yesterday was his birthday, so he turned 7. Which I realized yesterday that I didn't get his birthday card and stuff ready to send with her, so I'll have to get it in the mail. It kind of snuck up on me with Easter being the same weekend. But the kids got their Easter baskets, so that's good. And then I can mail his card. I usually just send them cash, or, well, I send them a check. And then that way our daughter and son-in-law can just take the kids, and they can either take them and let them spend the money, or they can just put it in their savings account, whatever they want to do. But that just saves the shipping cost, and, you know. All right, 1 more carrot. Ooh. We've got those peeled. Get these in this bag for stock. And I wouldn't normally say this much, but I've got a lot of chicken carcasses, and I'm gonna have the turkey carcass from today. I'm gonna have all of that we can turn into delicious chicken and, well, poultry stock, whatever. I kind of just put them, I use them interchangeably. The chicken or turkey, I don't really care one way or the other. You know what it is. When I'm making the stock, it's all basically the same. So I'm gonna cut the tops off these carrots, and then we're just gonna cut them into little angled pieces. Not super small. And then I'm just going to put them in a bowl and stick them back in the fridge until it's time to cook them. These end pieces were the carrots, the bigger carrots. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut those in half just so they cook a little faster. So everything kind of cooks at the same rate. So the first time I made these, my husband and I really liked them. So that's why I thought they would make a good side for today's meal. Because not all the kids like peas, but we think they all like carrots. And if they don't, we've got plenty of food. Nobody's gonna go home hungry, that's for sure. And this carrot recipe is not the carrots that I burned the first time. This is the ones we cooked in the oven with the honey and garlic. The other ones were the brown sugar and butter ones that I burned the first time. Although they were really delicious once I cooked them and didn't ruin them. But we really enjoyed these too, so. Trying to just, runaway carrot. I'm trying to just make sure I have as much ready and prepped ahead of time as possible. I don't want to cook these ahead of time, but I want to have them ready so that I'm not spending a ton of time in the kitchen when I want to be spending time with the kids and grandkids. We've got some new baby chicks, so the kids are super excited to see those. All right, just about got these carrots ready. So I'm just going to put some plastic wrap over this bowl and stick these back in the fridge. If I can get a hold of the plastic wrap. All right, so I'm going to clean up these carrots, just the little pieces that I have kind of everywhere. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and start working on getting our potatoes cut up. And then those I will put in a bowl of water so they don't oxidize and turn yucky colors. All right, this will go in the fridge. Or this goes in the freezer, not the fridge. Okay, I had to find the potato recipe. I don't know why I didn't print this one, or maybe I printed it and I just don't know what I did with it. Let's see. We need 6 medium yellow potatoes and 2 medium onions. So I'm gonna run downstairs and grab those, and then we'll get started slicing everything. All right, so I'm gonna use my KitchenAid to slice up the potatoes because the slicing attachment gets them really nice and thin. All right, and I don't think I'm gonna peel these, so I'm gonna give them a little scrub. Got a bowl for the potato slices. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Okay, some of these, like that one will go through. Some of these are a little bit fatter. Like this one I'll probably have to cut, and this one, but that's okay. All right, let's get this on. So you can see this gives like really nice thin slices. There's no way I could cut potatoes that thin or anything that thinly without cutting my finger, and you guys know how I am about that. So we don't want to give me any more chance to cut myself than necessary. That one does not want to go. Uh-oh, now I can't get it out of there. Let's see if I can pull this back out of here and cut it. There we go. It's just a hair too wide. What I might do is go ahead and make these and then put them in a baking dish, and then we'll just warm them back up when it's time to eat, because you start these out on the stovetop and I don't want to have grease all over me when we're ready to eat and stuff, so maybe I'll do that. And I actually wasn't paying attention to the time, and it's a good thing I looked because I need to get the turkey in the oven. All right, I'm just gonna cover those while I go get the turkey and get it started. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is line my pan with some foil. And that just makes the cleanup so much easier. All right, so we've got, this is a 13.5-pound turkey. Which should be plenty for the number of people that are going to be here, considering some of them are kids. And we've got all these other sides. And really the kids are just going to want the cupcakes anyway, so like I said, I am totally fine with that. Alright, I'm going to rinse this out. Okay. I rarely cook a turkey that's not stuffed, so it's weird to me to not be stuffing this. So I'm just going to pour some olive oil over this. And then I'm going to salt it. And we will stick it in the oven. Whoops. So I'm going to take this and get this in the oven. And then that's going to cook about 3 hours. Oops. So we'll set it for 3 hours, but we'll check it as we need. Set this to the side, and we're going to move on with our potato recipe. So we've got our potatoes all done. All right. So now we need 2 medium onions, thinly sliced. So get our stock bag back out, so I'm going to put the onion in there. Okay, so now we are done with our KitchenAid. So I'm going to go ahead and put that away. We're going to start cutting our not our potatoes, we cut our potatoes. I'm going to start cutting my onions up. And hopefully these are not as strong as the one last night that I cut, but I have a feeling it might be, because they're all from the same batch that I got from Azure. Oh my gosh, this peel is fighting me today. There we go. Okay. So we want these sliced really thinly as well. And let me see what we're supposed to do. Okay, that bowl might not be big enough for what we need to do. But we're going to go ahead and get our onions sliced up. And I'm just going to cut these as thin as I can without cutting my finger off. That would not make for a fun Easter. And I used to have one of those things, it was probably a Pampered Chef thing that you held your onion with so you could cut all the way to the end without worrying about cutting your fingers. This is how I cut my finger last time, doing that last little piece. So I'm going to turn it around and see if that helps. But I don't know if I still have it. I don't know where it's at. Oh gosh, yeah. They're gonna get me. And I still have another one to cut after this. Oh my gosh. I think my problem is that I cut them crooked as I come across. Like my cut starts getting angled as I come across, and then it gets harder to cut the end ones. Oh. So there's one onion. Oh, wow. And I've tried everything. Cutting them in cold water. I don't know, everything everybody's told me or that I've seen, oh my gosh. And the only thing that's mostly worked is wearing like swim goggles while I cut them. Oh, goodness. All right, let me get this one sliced up. All right, I had to step outside. We're almost done, and then I'm gonna cover the onions in the bowl with the potatoes to kind of get rid of that fumes or whatever it is that's causing my eyeballs to go crazy. Okay. At my husband's job that he just left, it's a warehouse that services some of the local restaurants, well, restaurants within a certain mile radius. And one of them uses a lot of chopped onions. And so they went on a tour of the facility that chops the onions, and I cannot even imagine. There's no way I could do that. I would not survive. All right, so I'm gonna give my potatoes a rinse, and then I'm gonna add them to the top of these onions. All right. We'll cover up the offending vegetable here. Ooh. It's always weird to me when you rinse potatoes that were clean after you've chopped them or whatever, and how discolored your water is. So like this almost looks like beef broth. It's from all the starch in the potatoes. Let's see what we need next. I think we need some garlic. Whoops, wrong one. We're gonna add 4 cloves of garlic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I need to let these thaw just a little bit before I try to cut them. Then we're gonna add some salt and pepper to our potato and onion. So I'm gonna add about 3 teaspoons. Oops. And then if we need more salt, we'll taste them once they're starting to cook and see if they need a little more seasoning. We're just gonna put some pepper in here. And once we can get our garlic in here, oh, I don't know if you can hear, my husband is mowing, so it might be loud. I think I'm gonna use my garlic press instead of trying to chop these. It'll just be easier, even once I'm still partly frozen. And then we'll stir all this up, and then we're gonna add some flour. I don't remember if I said that already. If I did, I apologize. All right, let's get this rest of this garlic in here. Because these were already peeled, so all of this in here is just garlic pieces, not garlic peel. We're going to give this a stir and just mix everything together. Now that the onions aren't trying to blind me, they smell really good. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add some flour to this because we're going to fry them up a little bit in a cast iron skillet. So we need 4 tablespoons of flour. And then we're just going to stir this flour in and try to make sure that everything gets a little coating of flour. I don't know if that's enough flour. It doesn't seem like it's enough. I'm actually going to add a little more. And it could just be because I doubled this recipe to make sure we had enough for everybody, that it was just hard to stir. All right, that looks much better. So I probably added about 7 or 8 tablespoons. So we're gonna start frying these up, but before I start that, oh, the onions are getting me again. I'm gonna run some dishwater in my sink and get some of these dishes just soaking so I can get those washed up in a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and heat our pan up. We wanna heat it up over medium-high heat. And then we're gonna add about 6 tablespoons of butter. Let's get our butter in there. Let it start melting. Oops. So we're gonna let our butter melt. And then we're gonna add our potato and onion and garlic mixture. And we're gonna cook them for about 10 minutes. And because I've got so much, I'm gonna use some tongs to start putting these in. I don't wanna pour it all in and then burn myself. Oh. And I might actually have to make this in 2 batches. That is a lot. For some reason I was thinking that this needed cheese. It does not have cheese, although cheese would be good. Maybe I'll top it with some cheese before I warm it back up. So I want to cook these potatoes until they have some browning on them. They're not going to be crispy when we eat them, but I want them to have a little bit of that crust on there. And mine are going to cook fast because they are so thin since I use my KitchenAid. So I'll probably let these cook another minute or 2, and then we're going to add some chicken broth and then let it cook another 10 minutes. Okay, so I am happy with the brown that we've got on this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup of chicken broth or chicken stock. Mine's actually turkey, but and then we're going to cover it and let it cook for another 10 minutes. I don't have a lid that fits my cast iron, so I'm just going to cover it with my pizza stone. Turn this down just a little bit, and we're going to let that cook. All right, so I took that first batch out, and I've got it in my baking dish. So I'm going to put the rest of these in here with a little more butter. And I think what I'm going to do is add some cheese to this because I think it would be really delicious. I'm going to let this keep cooking. Whoa. So I went ahead and just shredded up some cheese. And I'm going to use some in these potatoes and then some in our pea salad. And I'm going to add a little more chicken stock than the recipe called for because my first batch kind of stuck in the bottom. So I'm just going to add a little more. Then I'm going to go ahead and cover this and we'll let this cook another 10 minutes. Alright, this batch has just a couple more minutes and then I'll take it out of the pan and put it in our baking dish, and I'm going to put some cheese in there. Actually, I think I might, just to make it easier to mix, I might put a little sprinkle of cheese on this first batch. This first batch actually was smaller. I didn't do exactly half like I thought I did. So we'll put that in there. Then we'll add, then when this batch is done, we'll go ahead and add it here. And I might just leave it like that and just let it bake like that, and it can, people can stir it up on their plate and the cheese will be all mixed in that way. I did taste a little bite of potato. It was really good. And I think the seasoning is about perfect. I don't want to add any more salt and pepper. If people need more salt or pepper, they can add it at the table. I'd rather do that than have it be too salty. But I think this is going to make for a really delicious side dish. And so the potatoes plus the carrots plus the pea salad, I think it will be really, really good. And then our rolls, which in about a half an hour we'll be ready to start the next step of our rolls. Alright, our time's up on this. So I'm going to go ahead and take this pizza stone off. Ow. I'm going to go ahead and start putting the rest of my potatoes into my dish over here. Ooh. I'm just trying to kind of spread this around so that I end up with an even, kind of an even layer of potatoes in my dish. And then I'll top this second layer with some cheese. I'll probably put a little more cheese on the very top than I did in the middle. And I think maybe the slices of potato are too thin. It's gonna be good, but if I make this again, I'll probably go ahead and slice the potatoes by hand so they're not quite so thin, because they're kind of just mushing up. This will be fine. They'll still taste good. But I don't want to lose. Whoa! I don't want to lose any of this good brown potato from the bottom of the dish, or from the bottom of our skillet. So I managed to get potato all over my stove, which is, I guess, not unusual for me. Alright, so I'm going to let my skillet cool, and then I'll go ahead and get it washed up. So go ahead and add cheese to the top of this dish. I might need to shred up some more. So I've got plenty for our pea salad. Because I think I'm going to use all of this on my potatoes. We'll get a nice little cheese topping here, and then these will be delicious. All right, so here's what our potato dish looks like, unbaked, I guess. Everything's done except for the cheese melting, but I'm gonna let this cool and then I'll cover it and stick it in the refrigerator until it's time to warm it up. Okay, so our bread dough has doubled. So we're gonna go ahead and get to the next step on that. So here it is. You can smell our turkey and it smells so good. So I'm gonna put a little flour on my work surface. And we're gonna dump this out. And then we're just gonna cut it into our roll size pieces. So I'm gonna try to get 24. They might be a little smaller. Here we go. So I'm just looking for my bench scraper. All right, so there's, goodness. So I'm just going to use this to kind of help me figure out size, you know, how big to cut these. Okay, so now I'm going to cut, so I cut my dough in half, and then I cut that in half and that in half. So I've got 4 pieces, and I'm going to cut each of these 4 pieces into 3, hopefully 3 even pieces. But if you've watched anything I've done, you know that I can't do anything evenly to save my life. So, you know, it'll be whatever it is. And I can already see that these are not the same size, but that's okay. So we're just gonna roll these. Okay, and I've seen people do this and I cannot do it. We're gonna roll these into a ball. And I'm just going to kind of tuck the end under, and actually I'm going to spray my cookie sheets just with some vegetable spray. And then we're going to just put our balls of dough right on there. So I'm just going to roll all of these up. And it looks like I'm having better luck just using 2 hands. So I'm just going to roll all these up into balls. We're going to put them on our cookie sheets, and then we're going to cover them with plastic to do a second rise. We're going to let them rise 30 to 60 minutes. And then we are going to bake them. We don't want to let them overproof because then they'll just fall. So we'll start checking them at about 30 minutes and see how they look. And then we will get them in the oven when they hit that perfect point. So I will also link all of these recipes for the dinner rolls, for the potatoes, for the carrots. And I think that's it. But I'll link all those in the description box so you guys can have them if you want. The actual recipe has you put these in a baking dish so they're touching, but I like them the way that we do our Rhodes rolls. So I've never used Rhodes rolls before, and my mother-in-law, when she makes them, she separates them instead of putting in one dish. I mean, they're in one dish. Instead of putting them side by side in a dish so that they puff up all together, she separates them into individual rolls like that, and they're amazing. So, and obviously I like them both ways. I'm a bread eater. I could eat bread no matter what way it's cooked. But the kids really like them because, again, that's how Grandma makes it. And so that's how I make them. And I like them like this. It makes them just so good. Uh-oh, these aren't even, whoops. These are not even close to being even here. All right, last piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll these up and get them on our pan. And then before I put plastic on them, I'm gonna go ahead and give each one a little spritz with the vegetable spray just so they don't stick to the plastic as they rise. And then it's a little bit, whoops, it's a little bit easier to get the plastic off without ruining that beautiful rise that you get from your dough. And it's finally warming up again a little bit. I think I'm gonna turn the heat back off here pretty soon and maybe open up at least the kitchen window so we can get some air in. Okay, so, oops, make sure these all have room. So I'm just gonna spritz these. And then I'm gonna get some plastic wrap over these. So I've got my great big Sam's Club size plastic wrap here. I'm gonna tell you what, this is certainly way easier than trying to get 2 pieces of regular size plastic wrap on there. Get them to stick where you want them to stick and not where you don't. That's what I've always done before. Before I bought this big roll of plastic wrap. All right. Okay, so we've got those wrapped. It is 10 after 11, so I will check on these again about 11:40 and just kind of see how they're looking, and then I'll check on them every few minutes until they hit that point where I think that they're ready to be baked. So we're gonna get started on the next part of our carrots. And I don't have the recipe printed, so I've got to, there we go. Gotta pull it back up and see what I'm supposed to do. I don't remember. All right, I'm gonna have to go get some butter from downstairs. I've got my dishwasher going, so I hope it's not too loud in this video. It's not quite done. Oh my gosh, but I wanted to get it run before all the kids started showing up so that I could empty it and we could have a dishwasher and we could just all put our dishes in when we're done eating. All right, so we need, all right, we're gonna have to move to the stove because I forgot we started this on the stovetop. So we need 10 tablespoons of butter. This butter's frozen, so it's being a little finicky when I cut it. That's all right, that's about 10 tablespoons. We're gonna melt this over medium-high heat. And then we need 8 garlic cloves. So I'm gonna get those out of the freezer and start chopping those up while our butter is melting. If I'd been thinking earlier, I would have gotten these out then and minced them, but now my garlic press is in my dishwasher. Oops, I want that tiny one. Let's see, this bowl's full. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, darn it. I'm going to throw this garlic. I'm going to put it in the microwave for just a few seconds so I can chop it. Frozen garlic thaws really quickly. So I just put this in for 10 seconds, and it's already thawed enough to chop very easily. Alright, so there our garlic is ready. This took a little longer to melt since it started from frozen. But it's just about melted. While that finishes melting, I'm going to stick my honey in the microwave because it's crystallized. Alright, butter's melted, so I'm going to put my garlic in here. And we're going to cook this about 2 or 3 minutes, just until the garlic starts getting really fragrant. We don't want to let it burn, so you want to stir it very often. And the little button on our turkey is popped up, but I'm going to let it go ahead and finish out the whole time that I had it set for, just to make sure that it's really done. Sometimes that button pops up and the internal, like next to the bone, is not really done. I will check it with my meat thermometer though before we take it out of the oven. So we'll get we'll get our carrots prepped, but we're not going to be able to put them in the oven until the turkey's done, because the carrots need to cook at 425 and the turkey's at 350. So I can smell our garlic in here and our butter. It smells really good. So when I was in the garden yesterday, last fall, I planted in a raised bed, I planted, I think, 150 garlic. And when I was down there yesterday, I think I might only have 30 that came up. So that's okay. 30 is better than none. And I can always buy it from the store if I need to. Our garlic is starting to brown. I'm going to give it just another minute, and then we're going to turn the heat off, and we're going to add our honey to this mixture. And then we'll pour our carrots in this and stir it all up. And we're going to bake them on a cookie sheet. Alright, so I'm going to turn this off. I'm actually going to remove it from the heat so it doesn't keep cooking. I was looking for my cookie sheets and I forgot they were covered with cupcakes. So I covered our cookie sheet with some parchment paper. I'm going to show you here in just one second. And then I sprayed some vegetable spray on it. So I took 2 pieces and kind of doubled them over so that it goes up the sides a little bit. Alright, now we want to add about 4 tablespoons of honey. I'm not going to measure that. I'm just going to pour. That's close enough. Stir that up together. And now we're going to go ahead and put our carrots in that we chopped up, or that we cut up this morning. And we just want to toss these in that garlic butter honey mixture. We just want to make sure that all of our carrots get a nice coating of that honey mixture. Whoops. Oh man, I just wiped off my stove and I dripped butter and honey all over it. Oh well. We've got our parchment paper coated cookie sheet here. And now I'm just going to pour my carrots and all of that liquid. We want to get all of that in there with our carrots. So now we'll just let these sit until the turkey is completely done, and then we can get those in the oven. Our rolls are getting close, but I think I'm gonna let them go until I take the turkey out of the oven, and they should be just about right. Unfortunately, the rolls and the carrots bake at different temperatures. So what I might do is, I'm gonna wait and see what the rolls look like when the turkey's done, and I might have to bake everything at the temperature for the rolls first and then put the carrots in. That's okay, we'll just turn the heat up on the carrots. So I hand washed some dishes earlier, the ones that wouldn't fit in the dishwasher. The dishwasher hopefully is about done, and now I'm running another sink to wash up these last few things that I'm using right now, because I want to make sure I've got as many dishes done as possible before we start eating. That way there's just less of a mess to clean up after we're done. All right, so our turkey is done. I just checked and it is the right temperature. So, and the legs are like barely hanging on there, so that's good. So I'm just gonna set it here and let it rest. The rolls aren't quite ready, so I'm preheating the oven. I turned the temperature up for what the carrots need. So we'll cook the carrots first, and then we'll turn the temperature back down and cook the rolls. So everything is coming together. It's about 12:15. The kids are supposed to be here around 1. My oldest son and his family are going to be here a little bit early because I bought the baby an Easter dress, and so they want to change her when they get here. So now I think I could just start getting out plates and silverware and all of that stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and stick the potatoes in with the carrots. They really just need to warm back up and get that cheese all melted, but I want them to have a nice kind of brown crust on the cheese. So the carrots have about 16 more minutes. And then I'll check them and make sure they're actually done. And then we can turn the temperature down for the rolls. I did go ahead and tent some foil over this turkey, and then we'll just let it rest until we're about ready to eat, and then we'll go ahead and carve it up. So our carrots are done. So I've got those out of the oven. I have, potatoes are still in, and I have the first batch of rolls in.
So the camera,
you wanna come over here and say hi to the camera?
Stand by the oven. And look
Oh,
at
I
the
might
camera.
have to, you might be too short. Here, let me see. 1, 2, 3.
Say hi.
Tell everybody, say Happy Easter!
Say Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
You're such a turkey. Oh, you want to say Happy Easter too?
Her time to shine.
All right. Oh, you're too short. Stand up. There. Oh, now you're too tall. Sit down. Sit down on the edge. There. Now say Happy Easter.
Okay.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, look in the back.
Say Easter.
Look at me right on.
I see you. Easter.
Bubby.
Yeah, Bubby,
You know
Bubby. Potatoes look amazing. Carrots are done. First batch of rolls. They look really good. All right, so we're just waiting on the last batch of rolls. Waiting on one kid and grandkid to show up, and then we'll be eating.